topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you'll be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land, and you will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him, help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org for more information. Today I'm going to talk about the essence of my message to Muslims, part 3. So the overview, the broadcast presents a headline review of most facets of my teachings as they apply first and foremost to Muslims. This is extremely important if you're a Muslim. This is not a Christian teaching, and this is part 3. Now, folks, I've come across a number of videos and articles in the last week that trouble me greatly. Now, I've shared with you, I recognize Muhammad as a major prophet, spokesman, and I recognize the Quran as basically a reasonably inspired book. However, and I want, in what I'm going to say now, I want to stress some points. I've been walking, as I've just said at the introduction, I've been walking closely with Father for 33 years. I hear him, and I have to say to you, as I've said before, this thing that Muhammad was the last prophet, the last spokesman, is just not true. The Creator created us to have a relationship with him. It is possible for every single human being on the planet to have a relationship with the Creator directly, to hear the Creator directly, and speak to the Creator directly. So any teaching that Muhammad is the last prophet, I'm afraid, is absolutely out of line, and it's error. Secondly, I was shocked a couple of days ago to hear that Muhammad married a girl who was 6 or 7 years old, and he consummated with her at the age of 9. Now, according to my understanding of things and what's written in the Bible, the age of marriage is not younger than the age of puberty, which is approximately 14 years old. Having sex with a 9-year-old, according to me, and I'm reasonably close to Yah, is not from Yah. That's a man who's out of control. I'm sorry. But if you want to come into right standing with Yah, you need to let go of some of this stuff. Then it also came to my attention this week, and I've kind of heard it before, but it didn't really register the way it registered this week, that towards the end of his life, Muhammad waged war. I'm very clear that that's not from Yah. And in that, apparently, he massacred Jews. And that, I have to say to you, is not from Yah. The Quran clearly makes it clear, or my reading of the Quran makes it clear the Jews have got some error, the Christians have got some error. Muhammad came to speak about the error, call them back out of that error. Putting the Torah on a pedestal and treating it as an idol is not a basis to kill Jews. And from what I can gather, there is some indication that Muhammad had an attitude towards Christians as well. And again, it is not for a so-called spokesman of Yah to go around killing other believers. And there seems to be a wrong thinking that Christians and Jews are infidels, unbelievers. They're not. They're believers. They've got their bit of error. And as I've said before, putting the Quran on a pedestal where you beat people up because they burn the Quran or speak ill of the Quran, it's worship, it's idolatry, it's sin. Muslims who do that are in serious error. Putting your prophet, Muhammad, on a pedestal and worshiping him, which is what you do when you beat people up or kill people because they say something that you don't like about your prophet, is also idolatry. It's sin. It's at the very extreme level of what the Christians are guilty of, and the Jews are guilty of putting their book on the pedestal. So, frankly, as far as I can determine, the vast majority of Muslims are in the same level of error as the Christians, if not worse, and there is absolutely no basis for Muslims to go around beating up or killing Jews, setting an objective to destroy Israel, and so forth. So I have to say to you, it is my considered opinion as a spokesman of Yah, as a prophet, as a servant of Yah, and I'm an apostle, emissary. So I'm a senior servant of the Creator. So I just want you to understand, I'm not coming at this from some fringe point of view. I'm speaking to you as one who speaks to the Creator daily. Muhammad went off the rails towards the end of his life. That is my considered opinion. It doesn't mean he was not a prophet. I've had times in my walk where I've made some bad mistakes. Way back in 2004, for the next couple of years, I took a bit of a wrong turning. Didn't mean I wasn't a prophet, but it did mean that some of the stuff that I was saying in that period, I was off the rails. I came back. I've been serving Father closely since 2010 again. Muhammad went off the rails. I'm sorry. Take him off his pedestal. He's a man. He messed up. And he is not the perfect man, which is something else that I heard this week, which I find very, very, very troubling, particularly in the light of what I've just said. The only perfect man is Yeshua, because he had lived with Yah from the beginning of creation, came to earth as a man. Muhammad was not a perfect man, and certainly he's having sex with 9-year-olds, waging war and massacring Jews. He was by no means a perfect man. And if you take that as your role model, you are seriously off track, and you're going to have a nasty surprise when you get to heaven, if you get to heaven, that is. So all I've just said does not mean that the first part of the Quran is not moderately inspired. I believe it is. As I say, I've read it, and I didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. But in the light of what I've learned recently, the way it's been interpreted and applied, there's some wrong thinking. And certainly because I've said that the prophet was out of line at the end of his life, I have to suspect that the latter part of the Quran is suspect. I came across a teaching a few days ago which said that there are three ages of the Quran, and the last age is definitely suspect. So that's it. I've gone into quite a lot of detail, and I hope you hear my heart. I believe that if you're a true Muslim believer, if you're really seeking to serve Allah, my message is for you. If you're going around murdering Jews and murdering Christians and killing people or beating people up or saying something about the Quran or about Muhammad, you need to clean up your act, because you're either not going to make it into heaven at all, or if you do make it into heaven, you're going to be in a very dark place for a long time. It's hell, torment. So my message, the article today, 2021-0303, that's the basic message, the essence of my message to Muslims, and this is part 3. So I'm going to continue that. I'm going to go a bit fast because I've used up quite a bit of my time with what I've just said to you, but it really was heavy on my heart and it needed to be said. So immersion is prescribed as a regular practice, what the Christians call baptism. Note that Leviticus repeatedly prescribes immersion for cleansing of any defilement, so it should be a regular practice. At times I advocate triple immersion, that is going under the water 3 times, with the first time being for cleansing from defilement and the third for entry into the kingdom of heaven. And I've administered this ritual to a number of people with dramatic results, including myself. Then all authority on earth was given to Yeshua after his death and is delegated to his followers. All authority on earth was given to Adam, who gave it to Satan when he rebelled and ate the forbidden fruit and therefore submitted to Satan. See Genesis 1:28. And the Almighty blessed them, and the Almighty said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So that was given to Adam. Adam gave it to Satan. Yeshua regained this authority by living and dying without committing a single sin. Regrettably, almost no believers live without sin today, and therefore the satanic and demonic realm dominate on earth today, and almost no one walks in that authority. In order to gain this authority, Yeshua had to be 100% human, and he had to live without sin. If you choose to live your life above sin, you too will have great authority on earth today in the spirit realm. This authority overrides and supersedes the authority of all other human beings in the spirit realm. Then Yeshua is seated at the right hand of the Father, waiting for his enemies to be made his footstool. Yeshua incorrectly Isa, or sort of incorrectly Isa, but that's the name you use. But his real name is Yahushua, and you can't translate the name. He's now seated at the right hand of the Father, the Almighty Creator, waiting for his enemies, the satanic and demonic realm and their human servants, to be made his footstool. This requires believers to live free of sin, which almost no one is doing, and wage spiritual war in his name. If his enemies are not made his footstool, Yeshua will not return. The target date for Yeshua to return following the release of Satan from the pit is May 3003. In other words, 982 years from now. When that was written was February 2021. Psalms 110:24. Yah, the eternally self-existing, said to my Adon, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Now, apparently there's also a Muslim teaching about some Mahdi prophet who's going to come and bring the end. Sorry, it doesn't count. Yeshua has to come and bring the end. If Yeshua doesn't come, then that's because Satan has won the contest. Yeshua is the most powerful created being in the universe. Yeshua is the most powerful created being. The spirit that became Yeshua was the first spirit being the Almighty created early on in creation, and he was Yah's executive assistant and chief operating officer throughout the creative process until he came to earth, at which point, as stated above, he became 100% human with only the authority and power of a human being. He could not have performed his mission if he was not 100% human, and he would not hold the high status that he holds today were he not 100% human. For more information, see the webpage Yeshua and the child pages under that page. Yeshua, or Isa's power and authority today are a consequence of dying without sin and being promoted to be the firstborn from the dead and king of all human kings, and Adon, or lord of all human Adons. Then the creative miracle of Yeshua in Miriam, Mary, was less of a miracle than the creation of Adam and the creation of Chava, Eve. The creative miracle in the fallopian tubes of Miriam that gave rise to the human being we know as Yahushua was less of a miracle than the creation of Adam and Lilith and the subsequent creation of Chava, Eve. Yeshua, the man, was therefore 100% human with no inherited bloodline curses. Deifying Yeshua because of his virgin birth misses the point. Yah did not have sex with Miriam. He performed a creative miracle with an ovum that was less miraculous than creating Adam and Lilith from the dust of the earth and creating Chava, Eve, from Adam's rib. There is therefore no reason to worship Jesus or worship Yahushua or Isa for that matter. So to that point, Muslim teaching is correct. As I said earlier, one of the messages that Muhammad correctly brought was not to worship Jesus, not to worship Isa, not to worship Yahushua. See the child pages under the web page Yahushua for more on Yahushua. So as I said a few minutes ago, Yahushua is scheduled to return around May 3003, which is 977 years from now. That's February 2026. But only if there is a human without sin and in right standing with Father Yah to call on for his return. If there's not such a human being, Satan will rule on earth forever. See the web page Satan Wins and other related web pages about the contest on the website. Now, as I understand it, Muslims have a rather arm's length view of Isa, Yeshua. They recognize him as a prophet, which is absolutely correct. But they don't recognize what he achieved as a lie that somebody substituted for him at death, and that's not true. He died. He could not have achieved what he came to do if he had not died. So again, some wrong thinking. Then Satan was sent to the pit for 1,000. Satan was sent to the pit for 1,000 years on the 3rd of May 2003. He was brought before the court of heaven on the 3rd of May 2003. The charges against him were read out. He was convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to 1,000 years in the pit. He will come out on the 2nd of May 3003, 982 years from the time of writing in February 2021. See Satan to the Pit 2003. Shortly after that, if there is a committed believer in right standing with the Creator on earth, at that time the final judgment will come, and Satan and all satanic messengers, incorrectly angels and demons or ancestor spirits of deceased unbelievers that follow him, will be cast into the lake of fire and brimstone and utterly destroyed. There's not a person in right standing. Satan and his followers will rule on earth forever, and Yah will withdraw his spirit, and those who at some level follow him, and all humans, animals, and plants remaining on earth will die. It's written regarding Yah, regarding the Creator, in him we live, we move, we have our being. If he takes his spirit away from earth, everything will collapse and die. My goal is to do what's necessary to make sure that there are a whole lot of committed true believers on earth around May 3003. And I would like you to join me in that program. I'm aiming for what some people call a revival, an upwelling of Yah's spirit, people getting close to him, people hearing him clearly, people speaking on his behalf, healing the sick, raising the dead, walking on water, feeding 5,000, and so on and so on and so forth. It's entirely available to you. It doesn't matter what your background is. Then about ancestor spirits or demons, which are the spirits of unbelievers. It's vital to understand that unless one has a life-changing, deep realization of the reality of the Creator and prays accordingly to be accepted by Him, then one is an unbeliever. As such, when you die, you will be taken to heaven and be told that you've been lied to, and then taken to the lake of fire and brimstone and told that this is where you will end up if Father wins the contest, and you will then return to your corpse, where you may either be harvested by a Satan's servant and put to work serving Satan, or you will remain on earth as a wandering spirit who can't talk to anybody. So, folks, you don't want to die as an unbeliever, and you also don't want to die as a nominal believer, somebody who said, yes, I believe that Allah exists, and that's it. And I have to say to you, in looking at some of the information that's come to me about the way a lot of Muslims are conducting themselves, and I've kind of known this for a while, but it's become very clear to me. There are a hang of a lot of people who call themselves Muslims who are unbelievers, in the same way that there are a lot of Christians who call themselves unbelievers. And there's a fair number of Jews who call themselves, let me restate that. A substantial number of Christians are in fact unbelievers. A substantial number of Muslims are unbelievers, and a fair amount of Jews are unbelievers. They have never come to a deep, settled assurance of the reality and the validity of the Creator. Doesn't matter whether you call him Allah or Yah or God or the Lord. If you don't have a settled assurance, a deep conviction of the reality of the Creator, you are not going to go to heaven. And if you don't have a relationship with the Creator on top of that, you're going to end up in the outer darkness, weeping and wailing and gnashing your teeth, because you realize what a mess you made of your life. So the earth is ruled by a junta of 7 demonic masterminds. Today, with Satan in the pit, the earth is ruled by a junta of 7 demonic masterminds, brilliant men and women who died as unbelievers not long after creation. See the webpage Demonic Masterminds Direct. So you may say to me, if you said that Satan went to the pit in 3003, then why is there still all this evil on the earth? And there is a reason there's so much evil on the earth, is that there are billions of satanic messengers, satanic angels, and there's over 100 billion demons, human beings who died as unbelievers on the earth. And 7 of those who came to power not that long after Adam was created, people stopped believing, and Yah didn't have anywhere to send them, so he left them on the planet. Satan came along and said, these are really intelligent people. They know what's going on. They know how to stop people serving Yah, and he recruited them. And they've walked with him ever since. They came through the flood riding on Ham, and they've marshaled the forces of darkness. They control the forces of darkness. So you've got people like Baal, you've got people like Zeus, etc., who are controlling what's happening on earth today at the demonic realm level. And then it's important to realize that after his death, those who followed Yeshua suffered massive persecution. Following the death and resurrection of Yeshua, the believers in his covenant suffered massive persecution by the Jews and the Romans, such that the religion largely died out in Israel and survived primarily in Greece, where the believers adapted their religion to Greek pagan tradition in order to gain greater acceptance and reduce persecution. The religion became progressively more corrupt. It was also eventually adopted in Rome with further corruption. This resulted in the corrupt religion we call Christianity today. It's vital to understand that the knowledge we have available to us today regarding Christianity, primarily through the Bible and the teachings of various forms of Christian church, is corrupt, incomplete, inaccurate, and therefore of limited reliability. It's vital to get close to Father Yah to seek truth. My website contains a huge amount of information of the order of 1,250 web pages, which you can turn to for a lot of information. Much of this information is also available in 15 PDF volumes, available at the compilation of most writings page. So it's so that because of the persecution, etc., Christianity developed some errors, particularly worshiping Jesus and worshiping the Bible. But that doesn't mean that that gives Muslims a license to go and kill them. And as I've tried to say somewhat diplomatically 15 minutes ago, the Muslims, frankly, are no better than the Christians. And they're no better than the Jews, the vast majority of them. There are some who are serving Allah as a loving, mighty one, a loving God. And there are a whole lot who's sitting back and letting the extremists dominate things, such that somebody like myself living in Britain with a large Muslim population is really concerned about the way things are going with that Muslim population. The Nya is chesed, covenant love. Your mighty creator is chesed, covenant love, loving kindness, mercy, grace. He's fundamentally not a vengeful, angry God or angry, mighty one. This persona of Yah being vengeful and angry is what corrupt human beings have imposed on him. This does not prevent him from sentencing corrupt human beings to death, but frankly, it makes it an absolute lie that what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in Sudan, what is happening in Somalia, what is happening in the Middle East around Israel, etc., and the suicide bombers and the people who try and kill people in the United States and Britain and Europe and what have you. Folks, it's not the way the Creator is, and if you know the Creator, you won't behave like that. If you're behaving like that, if you're going around beating people up, killing people, murdering people, burning people, the abominations of the October the 7th invasion of Israel, rape, beheadings, it's perverse. It's got nothing to do with the Creator. And the fact that people run around saying Allahu Akbar is an insult to the Creator. And those people are unlikely to be going to heaven. And if for some reason they are going to heaven, they will end up in hell for a very lengthy time for their errors. Then Yeshua told those who follow his example to worship only the Creator, not him. Yeshua told those who follow him to worship only the Creator, Yah, the eternally self-existing. Refer in the Bible to Matthew, Matthew 22:37. Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yah, the eternally self-existing, thy mighty one, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. This is quoting Deuteronomy 6, verses 4-7, which says, Hear, O Israel, Yah, the eternally self-existing, our mighty one, Yah, the eternally self-existing is one. You shall love Yah, the eternally self-existing, our mighty one, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. This must be read in conjunction with Exodus 20, verses 2 and 3. I am Yah, the eternally self-existing, your mighty one, who brought you out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other mighty ones before me. So, if you call him Allah, same principle applies. Love him only. Do not love your prophet. Deuteronomy 5, verses 1-10. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and the judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. Yah, the eternally self-existing, Almighty One, made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yah, the eternally self-existing, made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. Yah, the eternally self-existing, our mighty one, talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yah, the eternally self-existing, our mighty one, and you at that time to show you the word of Yah, the eternally self-existing, our mighty one. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up unto the mountain, saying, I am Yah, the eternally self-existing, mighty one, which brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other mighty ones, gods, mighty ones, before me. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them or serve them. For I, Yah, the self-existing, are your mighty one, am a jealous mighty one, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Folks, please get no other mighty ones, not Muhammad, not the Quran, not the Bible, not Jesus, not the Torah, not Moshe, Moses. Yah only. Looking at the concordance and exhaustive analysis of every single word in the Bible, see Wikipedia, Strong's Concordance, as indicates that the word translated before, which is Strong's number 5921, is effectively a meaningless word, and there are literally over 150 different meanings ascribed to this word. See BibleHub.com, Hebrew 5921. So the clear meaning of the two passages above is that you shall have no other mighty ones apart from Yah, and clearly that demonstrates that it is sin to worship Yahushua or esteem him in any sort of religious sense. Fundamentally, by definition, Christianity breaks this commandment, and since the Almighty Creator spoke these words to the entire assembly of Israel from the mountain at Sinai in the Arabian Peninsula, it is clear that it is an abomination to worship Jesus. In this context, it must be stated that anyone who breaks any of the 10 commandments will face harsh judgment when they die if they have not repented and turned away before death. And everything I've said there about worshiping Jesus applies to worshiping Muhammad. Then note that it is not the role of Muslims to bring judgment on Christians, no matter how much error they're in. Note that there are a number of verses in the Christian New Testament that clearly indicate that Yeshua was a man and not the Almighty in the flesh. The Christians simply choose to ignore them or corrupt them. For example, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with vehement cries and tears to him who was able to save him from death, and was heard because of his godly fear, though he was a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Hebrews 5:7-9. For there is one creator and one mediator between Yah and men, the man Yahushua, the anointed of Yah, who gave himself a ransom for all to be testified in due time, for which I was appointed a preacher and apostle. I'm speaking the truth in the anointing and not lying, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and truth. 1 Timothy 2:5-7. And then a really important principle which Father taught me many years ago. He said, focus on truth, not error. The world is full of sin and error. Do not let that overwhelm you. Seek truth at all times and disregard the error, other than to the extent necessary to note it for what it is and disregard it. There has only been one human being who is totally free of sin and totally free of error, and that is Yahushua. And as we've seen earlier in this broadcast, Muhammad had error and sin, at least in the latter part of his life. So, suggesting that any human being is free of error is silly. We've all got error, and if we knew it was error, we wouldn't have it, would we? I'm quite sure I still got error. I've recently dealt with a number of things where I'd mistakenly done and said some things. And that's after 32 years of walking with Father, and I still dropped the ball on a couple of points. There's only one being that is absolutely total evil, and that is Satan. Every other being on the planet has some truth and some error. So when you talk to somebody and you find they've got error, If you've got truth that corrects their error, by all means, share it with them. If they're not able to receive it, just move on. Either move on from the relationship or move on in the relationship and just accept that there's some things you don't agree with. It's not a major train smash to say, let's agree to disagree, because maybe what you think is error is truth and what you think is truth is error. Yeshua said on several occasions, judge not, lest thou also art judged, and by the way you judge, you will be judged. So if you judge people, don't get into a debate about it. Just, Samuel, don't get into a debate with me. I've told you what I think about Muhammad and the Quran. It's your liberty to disagree with me. I might be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I might be. The world is such a mess because of the contest. The world is such a mess because believers have abdicated their responsibility to live above sin and dominate the forces of darkness. This is in response to the contest between Yah and Satan, which came about after Satan, then called Hillel, rebelled before the creation of Adam and challenged Yah to a contest to prove that if he was sent to earth, Satan would so corrupt mankind that after 7,000 years there would not be a single person who was in right standing with the Almighty who could call for Yeshua to return, and in that case Satan would rule on earth for eternity and Yah would withdraw from earth. See the web page, the contest on the website. As things stand at present, Satan is well on track to win the contest. There are a very small number of people truly in right standing and free of error at a level that sets them in a position to pray for Yeshua to return. My mission on earth is to increase the number of such people dramatically, to lay a foundation to make this turning around so enduring and sustainable that it lasts to the end of the current millennium in 3003. What Satan did not realize is that when Yah withdraws his spirit from earth, all living things, plant, animal, and human, will immediately die. So Satan will win a Pyrrhic victory and be relegated to the satanic and demonic realm, fighting amongst themselves. There is a huge amount that is not in the Bible, it's not in the Torah, and it's certainly not in the Quran. The three, to some extent, complement each other, but fundamentally, the body of knowledge about the matters of the Almighty is huge, and a few small books are not going to cut it when it comes to leading people into all truth. Then when unbelievers die, and I touched on this a few minutes ago, they become ancestor spirits or demons. When unbelievers die, they become ancestor spirits, also known as demons. They stay on earth and move around, but are unable to speak to living human beings, or they may be harvested by Satan's servants and deployed to lead others into sin, or transfer onto a loved one or friend who embraces their corpse. There are over 100 billion ancestor spirits on earth today. Satan loses the contest. The ancestor spirits, together with the satanic messengers, angels, and Satan, will be cast into the lake of fire and brimstone and utterly destroyed. If Satan wins, they will remain on earth until ruled by Satan, and the Almighty will withdraw his spirit from the earth, and all living things will instantly die, leaving the demons with very little to do. And then it's important to understand that the vast majority of people who claim to be believers are in fact unbelievers. My understanding is that right now, there are only about 1.5 million true believers on earth today. Those are people who would make it into the throne room in heaven if the end were to come now. If they were to die in this instant, only 1.5 million people would make it into heaven. All the rest are not going to make it. That means Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and Buddhists, and Baha'i, and Hindu, and all the rest of it, Confucius, etc. So if you want to make it into heaven, you need to up your game. And to do that, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. The only reason we exist is because the Creator was lonely and he wanted friends. The only reason you exist is to become a friend of the Almighty. If you do not become a friend of the Almighty, then when you die, you are going to be bitterly disappointed. So what I'm advocating, did you make a decision right now to say, you know, Father, James says I can become your friend. I want to become your friend. I'll do what it takes to become your friend. Fast, pray, worship. If you go to the top left-hand corner of the website, there's a home button next to the home with the word home. There's a little triangle, a white triangle. Hover your mouse over that, you'll get a drop-down list, the second or third document on that. The 7 components of drawing close to the Almighty. Download that document, put it into practice. Do all the worshiping that it recommends. Do all the praying that it recommends. Do all the fasting that it recommends. Do all the sanctification and cleansing that it recommends. And work at it. And within a few years, you will come to a place where you can hear Yah clearly, where you can speak to him, involve him in every area of your life, and you can eventually become his friend. Now, how cool is that? I mean, compared to everything else that you've heard in your life, that has to be the most exciting thing you've ever heard. It excites me. I hope it excites you. If you make that decision, email me. I'll give you the email address in a minute. Email me and say, James, I've decided I want to try and become a friend of Yah. Please help me. I'll coach you. We can get on Zoom together. I'll teach you. I'll put you on my mailing list. You'll get weekly messages to help you grow. And that's it. You can become a friend. It's really possible. So I want to wrap up. I'll carry on next week with this. I want to ask you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator right now? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to him. Do you talk to him constantly throughout the day and allow him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you'll be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua, and I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to lead me, take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me to find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article, Critical Actions on First Belief for Actions You Should Take Immediately. Drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org so I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. Folks, I'm here for you. I love hearing from people. Makes my day. Drop me a line, say I listened to your broadcast and I want to get closer to Father, and I'll help you. So in closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know, and I will connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. So folks, it doesn't matter whether you are Muslim or Jewish or Christian or Hindu or whatever, an atheist, a Satanist, an Islamist, doesn't matter. Father wants you to become his friend. He will help you clean up your life and sort your life out and get close to him if you choose to pray the prayer that I just gave you, or a derivative of that prayer if you choose to say, I want to get close. It doesn't matter whether you're African, Asian, Indian, American, Eurasian, Caucasian, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, short or tall, thin or fat, blonde hair and blue eyes, brown eyes and black hair, anywhere in between. It doesn't matter. He would like you to become his friend. and he will take you by the hand and lead you. I will help you. Just email me, james@endtimeissueministries.org, and I'll get on Zoom with you. I'll teach you. I'll pray with you. I'll pray for you, and I'll help you to get there. There are people who have been walking with me for a number of years who are quite close to Father and getting closer by the day. And I would love to do that for you. I would love to help you. And I really urge you to make a decision and give me a call. So some people are here for the first time. I've got a few bits that I want to share with you, so I'm going to ask you to hold on. For those who've been walking with me for a while, I'm going to say good night. Have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. So those that are new, please hang on. So in closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering, and I'm a retired military commander. And now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993 when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room, and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor in preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. Recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcasts page. Books with teachings from 1998 till May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. There's a huge amount of information on the website, about 1,250 web pages covering a huge diversity of topics. There's about 2,500 articles, also an even wider range of topics. It's all indexed in the keyword cloud, a huge alphabetic list of keywords. There's a lot there, and if you can't find the answer on the website, email me and I'll either point you at the article on the website or I will teach you personally. I look forward to hearing from you. As I said, it fills me with joy, and I really would love to hear from you. Have a great evening, have a great weekend, and have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi. Are you truly aware of how my message applies to Muslims and why so many people are concerned about Islam? Please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV to understand why I say this. My name is Dr. James Robertson, and I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcast, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. Ciao.